I'll start now.
Yes.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. So this is, let me share my screen. Hare Krishna, everyone. So welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam reading discussion. The verse is verse 3.23.42, third canto, 23rd chapter, 42nd verse. So we'll start with prayers and then we'll read through the verse and we'll discuss what it says. So the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurue Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadkamlam Shri Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sakrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya cha कृपा सिंधु भैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे Hare Krishna everyone. So we'll start with the verse. The verse is 3:23:42 and it's a very nice verse. So let me read the verse. The verse says, Kim dura padanam tesham pumsam yuddhama chetasam yair ashritas tirthapadas charano vyasanatyaha vyasanatyayaha Kim durapadanayam tesham pumsam uddhama chetasam yair ashritas tirthapadas charano vyasanatayaha yayaha. Synonyms. Kim, what? Durapadanam, difficult to achieve. Tesham, for those. Pumsam, men. Udama chetasam, who are determined. Yair, by whom? Ashritaha, taken refuge. Tirthapadaha, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Charanaha, feet. Vesana atyayaha, which vanquish dangers. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What is difficult to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's lotus feet? His feet are the source of sacred rivers like the Ganges, which put an end to the dangers of mundane life. Purport. Again by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So the purport reads like this. The words Yair Ashritas Tirthapadas Charana are significant here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Tirthapada. The Ganges is called a sacred river because it emanates from the toe of Vishnu. The Ganges is meant to eradicate all the material distress of the conditioned souls. Therefore, nothing is impossible for any living entity who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Kardam Muni is special not because he was a great mystic, but because he was a great devotee. Therefore, it is said here that for a great devotee like Kardam Muni, nothing is impossible. Although yogis can perform wonderful feats, as Kardam has already displayed, Kardam was more than a yogi because he was a great devotee of the Lord. Therefore, he was more glorious than an ordinary yogi. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, out of many yogis, he who is a devotee of the Lord is first class. For a person like Kardam Muni, there is no question of being conditioned. He was already a liberated soul and better than the demigods, who are also conditioned. Although he was enjoying his wife and with many other women, he was above material conditioned life. Therefore, the word Vyasanataha, Vyasanatyayaha is used to indicate that he was beyond the position of a conditioned soul. He was transcendental to all material limitations. Uh, so very powerful verse, uh, very conclusive, uh, does not leave anything to understanding and speculation. It's very direct. So there are many things here. I think the key point which I got was it was talking about the power of the lotus feet of the Lord and how those who take to the shelter of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord, how what is possible for them. So in the previous verses, right, we saw how Kardam Muni, he showed his power, uh, not just the mystic power, but he showed his, the powers, how he transformed Devahuti from how she was to what she became, from somebody who had lost all the, dirty and, I mean, basically not taking care of oneself uh, to where she was before marriage. Uh, Similarly, how he created the palaces and all those things. We also, heard how he was traveling to different planets without needing anything, right? It was like air. I mean, he did not need uh, anything special as such. He was able to go to all the places, all the planets that even devatas or the demigods were not able to go. Said so. That was showing the power of Kardam Muni, and what Srila Prabhupada is saying here is because he was a devotee, that is why he was so powerful. Uh, Yogis, Gyanis, they all get mystic powers, but that is in some aspects. Some can become small, some can become big, as Prabhupada has spoken many times. Uh, but uh, because he was a devotee, that is why he was able to do all those things, and he was still not attached to all of this at all. I mean, he always had that power, but he was not using it because he was focused um, on the service to the Lord. That is what his focus was. So see here, uh, Prabhupada is saying, Yair ashritas tirtha padas charana. It's very important. It's very significant. We all know how uh, river Ganges, Ganga, came to the earth when Lord took the form of or avatar of Vaman Dev, and when he was uh, so when he met Bali Maharaj and he asked for three benedictions, and Bali Maharaj said, "Okay, I'll give you three." And during that time, when he was taking a step, so it hit the roof of the it hit the bottom of uh, the ocean, uh, Shir Sagar. That is where, through the feet of the Lord, river Ganges started coming, and then she came to earth. And now look at all the places where Ganges or river Ganga flows. All of them have become pilgrimages. So that is the power of the lotus feet of the Lord. Anything that touched the lotus feet of the Lord, it has power to transform everyone, to remove everyone's distress, or it has become sacred. It's like a pilgrimage. Wherever Ganga goes, many of us went to Haridwar. Rishikesh, uh, and you see how many people come to Haridwar, Rishikesh. Now there is this Kumbh happening. Many people from our congregation have also traveled to uh, that Mahakumbh, which is happening in Prayagraj. So there also river Ganges is there along with uh, Yamuna and Saraswati. So that is where that is called Sangam, and that is where uh, it becomes see the power of river Ganga because it came through the lotus feet of the Lord. So it is so important and so powerful. I was listening to some things, uh, and what there were many things that were spoken about here related to this. One thing was that the Lord, uh, uh, it talks about the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now, I'll share one more. Uh, let's see, right behind this here. So Chaitanya Charitamrit. This is how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. This is all the obeisances that he is paying on the right in the beginning. Jayatam Surata Upangor Mama Manda Matergati Mata Sarvaswa Padam Bhojao Radha Madan Mohana. See what he is saying. He's saying, I am lame, I am ill advised, yet they are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me. So he's talking about the lotus feet of the Lord. He's talking about Radha Madan Mohan. I'm sure most of you have seen the Radha Madan Mohan uh, temple in Vrindavan. So he is paying he's saying that he does not have any capability. He's saying Pangor, one who is lame. He does not have any power. And he was doing all this at a very ripe age. I think he was somewhere around 90 years when he started writing Chaitanya Charitamrit. And so that is why he was so humble, and he was saying that at that age, writing writing Chaitanya Charitamrit, uh, or that kind of scripture, it's very difficult. It's not possible. So he was paying obeisances to the lotus feet of the Lord. He was saying he does not have any capability, he does not have any strength, but it is the power of, he says, they are my directors. So he's saying he is foolish, he is lame, but his only refuge is Radha Madan Mohan and the lotus feet of Sri Radha Madan Mohan. So he took shelter of the Lord. And then you saw how we all read Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is such a beautiful written uh, description of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and so many things to get from it. So that is the power of lotus feet of the Lord. Taking shelter. Uh, when somebody takes shelter of the Lord, there is lotus feet, his toenails. That is when mercy of the Lord starts flowing to them. Uh, See, Lord can do anything and everything. He does not need, but he still tries to give glory to the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord. Arjun took shelter, surrendered completely to Krishna. So then Krishna gave him the power, and ultimately glory came to him through Mahabharata war. It's not that Krishna could not have killed any of them or every one of them. He could have killed them in a second, because he showed it in the Virat Roop that all that was already pre-decided, that everything will happen. He could have done it any moment. Lord Ram, look at his life when he was trying to cross the ocean, right? So he was giving opportunity to others who, it's not that he could not cross the ocean, but then Lord Hanuman, so when he took shelter of Lord Ram, that is when he was able to jump the ocean. It was not that Lord Ram could not build you know, a bridge out of his arrows or the powers that he had. He is Lord himself. He still gave those monkeys and the army of monkeys and um, bears and everyone opportunity to build that bridge. Ram Setu, as it. I mean, some people even find it that it's still there. It's visible from some part of it is there. So that is the power of lotus feet of the Lord. That is the strength of taking shelter of the Lord. When somebody takes shelter of the Lord, that is when the mercy starts coming. Um, and all the glory, all the strength that comes to devotees, that comes by taking shelter of the Lord. Our example, we don't have to go too far. I mean, we can just take example of our own Srila Prabhupada. He was so surrendered. Um, you would have heard of the stories of Radha Damodar temple. When he used to get up, he used to, cry for mercy of his gurus and Krishna, standing in the courtyard of Radha Damodar. He took shelter, and then all these things manifested. We are here because of those things. Uh, he also took shelter, and it comes out in Lilamrita many, many times that he keeps saying it was not even on the and even on his voyage to US when he was coming through Jaladuta, he says and he writes he was feeling after he had two heart attacks. He was feeling that Krishna was with him. He was telling him that, don't worry, uh, I am with you. Uh, so that was the power of shelter. He took shelter of the Lord. He surrendered himself totally, and that is why when he got down to Boston Harbor, he wrote uh, that's such a nice poem, and which we even read. I mean, where he is surrendering himself totally, just like the way Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, right? Uh, Ill-advised, Pangu, all these words, foolish. He's surrendering to Radha Madan Mohan. Similarly, our own Srila Prabhupada, he was surrendering to Krishna, saying that, and his Guru Maharaj, and he was saying, Krishna, why did you get me here? I don't have any strength. I don't know what I will do here. And then that was the power of surrender. So he was surrendered, and then everything started manifesting slowly. We all have read in Lilamrita and in different text in different uh, passages how it happens. There are some very a lot of other things are also there in this verse. For example, uh, there is a mention here. Uh, though yogis can perform wonderful feats, as Kardama has already displayed. Kardam was more than a yogi because he was a great devotee of the Lord. Therefore, he was more glorious than an ordinary yogi. And then here again, this one. Out of many yogis, he who is a devotee of the Lord is first class. So he was not conditioned. While he was able to do all these, he had all that power and he was displaying all those powers not for himself. He was giving it to devotee, he was showing it to her that, okay, you can also have a nice life. You can see all these enjoyments and the kind of things which are available, possible for devotees of the Lord. He was in all the different planets, he was enjoying, he was looking at the dances, but he was not attached. He was surrendered totally to the Lord. So that is why uh, Ashritas Tirth Padas Charana, it's very important, very, very important. Wish we in this lifetime would be able to take some solace from these kind of things, these verses every time we read. It's a reminder to all of us that this is required, this is required. Um, but then again, when we get to our day-to-day routine, we tend to forget. Uh, but it's a good thing. At least we have devotees who can remind us. We have Guru Maharajas, we have Siksha Gurus, Diksha Gurus, uh, so many different sources and ways in which we can be reminded. But then taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, that is the most important aspect. Uh, with that, looking at the time, right, we have 5 more minutes. So if anyone has any thoughts to share, they can now. Otherwise, we'll try and close it on time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Please
Krishna
accept
Mataji.
humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada.
Dhanavad
When
pranam.
you were speaking, I think one thought that came to me was when you were talking about Srila Prabhupada and, as well as the Radha Madana Mohana, the prayers to them, I realized that they are all, when we say shelter, the shelter is not taken when they are fearful. Like, for example, my experience is, when I take shelter, it is because I'm under stress, I'm under fear. But they're already beyond it. And so that shelter taking is not coming from a place of fear. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share. They're already beyond it. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely, Mataji. Yeah, they are way beyond that shelter of fear uh, that comes. That is temporary, because when we take shelter of fear, the moment fear goes away or the situation changes, we forget the shelter and we get back to our daily situation. But if it comes from a place of confidence and realization that that is the only way in which, and it should not be for a purpose, but it has to come from that place of understanding that this is the only way in which, I don't know what is the right word of saying. Um, it's not necessarily even the way. I mean, that is the only direction, or that should be the only goal. I think that is what I'm trying to say. But a very, very good point, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Any other thoughts, anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I was just thinking, the devotees are getting the whatever, the examples that you gave to Radha Krishnadas, Kaviraj Swami, or even Kardamuni in this case. They're getting the power from the Lord, but even the non-devotees also get the power from the Lord, but they don't recognize, right? So, these devotees, they recognize that they are getting this power from the Lord, the directions from Lord. I think that is the primary difference, because many, due to their karma or whatever, they also get, there are extraordinary personalities are there in the other outside as well, but they don't recognize that the power is coming from the Lord. I
No,
was just
it's it's
thinking
a
about that. Yeah.
it's a great thought, and thank you for bringing it up, Prabhu. Uh, that is why they don't get attached. That is what when I was preparing for this, I was thinking, okay, they have so much power, but they did not get attached to it because they understand that this is not because of their own strength. It is coming as a mercy, and that is why they don't get attached. They don't get pride because of that power. Uh, when non-devotees, or even sometimes not so evolved devotees, when they get some power, right, we get attached to it. We think it's because of our strength that we would have done something great or whatever. That is why we have power. We forget. Uh, but great point, bro. Thank you. So I think we are close to the time. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, I think we are good to close the call, bro.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll close the class for today. Vanchakalpataruvyasya kripa sindhubhayevata patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnavavrinda ki